Don't you have some other sweet?
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to move into the
Double
University
dipper.
of Michigan basketball preview. In the first few games that we've seen so far. Last year, Michigan finished 2019 season 19-12 overall and finished 9th in the Big Ten, going 10-10. It was not what Michigan fans hoped for from Howard in year one, but at the same time, we kind of expected it with the talent he was working with. The solid recruiting class, as the solid recruiting classes start trickling in, which he's shown that he's got something going there. I think we'll learn a lot more about Howard-led program, basically. So I actually don't have the subtractions and additions. I ran out of time last night, but I know that we lost our point guard. What was his name?
Yeah, Xavier Simpson.
And is that pretty much it?
We
I couldn't
lost.
think of anybody
No,
else.
we lost the center, the big center in the middle.
Tresky?
Yeah, Teskey.
Teskey. I was close.
Yep,
Testes.
you actually were. Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
Testes.
Testes.
I think it's pronounced.
I wanna correct one thing though. Last year's season.
I knew it. I'm just trying to bait you into
I
doing
knew
it.
you could, and I was like, oh boy.
Then I tried to make a point in the middle of it and ruined it all. No, I think last year though, they had a much better season than the record showed, because Livers was injured for a lot of the year. They started off great against really good competition, and I think Howard proved that he can coach in this league. And more than that, he
I
could
do
definitely
too.
recruit.
Yeah, I think it's still up for debate if he can coach. I think it really is. I think the start was bad. We all know that.
He's got 4
But the
wins.
way he responded, I think was eye opening, and I think put guys like me. It made us quiet. Basically, the guys that were questioning it, they were like, "Okay, he can coach." To what level? I think is now the next question. He can coach in the NCAA, no question about that. But can he be in conversation with some of the best?
Tom Izzo.
Can he be Michigan's Tom Izzo? That I think is what I personally want to know.
I think he's trying to be John Calipari.
Yeah,
He brings in the top of the top and doesn't really have to coach him that much.
yeah.
Go get him, kid.
I don't
Like,
disagree
Right,
with
You're
you.
better than them.
Yeah.
Do you like that version?
I love the
or-
dynamic of Michigan State greatly. The coaching ability of Tom Izzo versus the hey, go get him, kid. You're better than everybody else.
Yeah,
I do too.
I think that would be a lot of
it
fun
will
for
be.
a lot of
Yeah,
years.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, I agree with that. The additions, Ryan. Do you happen to have any additions there that you can bring up?
Hunter Dickinson is the 7'1" center, and he was the prized possession in this year's recruiting class.
It's a big boy.
Let's remember when next year's class is ranked number 1 in the country for Michigan.
Yep.
This year's class was not ranked number 1. It was a very good recruiting class, mostly because of Hunter Dickinson.
This time last year, it was top 3, I believe, and then we lost a guy to Arizona State, I think it was, and then one to the G League.
One to the G League, who's
Yeah.
supposed to be one of the top draft picks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of looking at that, being like, "Oh man, come on, man! You should have just
right.
you might not even have a G
there
League
probably
season,
no
man.
G League at all.
Yeah,
Come-
like-
you can
Right.
still come to Michigan. You just
Yeah.
need to get 0 grades at all. It'll make you play.
just
just pass your
enroll.
COVID test and you're good.
Just enroll and wear a
That's
mask.
all you need to do.
It's the only test you need to pass. Okay, your COVID. But so Hunter Dickinson, he's good. He is a very, very talented big guy. I think he's actually better than Teskey already
Yeah,
as a
I
freshman.
Like, he looks the part. He looks more. I know he's not massive, but
No, he is. He's 7'1".
No, I meant like too thick. Like he's not
Oh yeah.
terribly thick. Like he's not like a Zion thick, but he's way bigger than Teskey ever was. At least watching him on screen, he looks he looks like a man compared to Teskey looked like a high schooler all the way through his college career.
Yeah, you're right. And the difference between the two is their feet. So Dickinson can move around. He can actually move his body and get his feet moving. Teskey was one of those 7-footers that was obviously a 7-footer. It was
Yeah.
slow feet. You could go around him if you need. Yeah, is he going to get block shots? Yeah, because he's tall, but not
Yeah.
because he's a good athlete.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference with Dickinson too. With the other additions, yeah, they have. Let's see, what's their point guard's name?
Shoot,
Smith.
Yeah, Mike Smith.
Yeah, Mike Smith. Their point guard. He's a transfer from
Columbia.
Yeah, and he's a player, man. He's good. He can shoot. He handles the ball. He's short. I think he's like, he's 5'11". So he's not. So actually, he's not going to match up super well against maybe some of the other teams in the league. But what he does have is quickness. He has decision-making ability. He can shoot the three. He gets to the rim, and once he's there, he makes really good decisions. So that helps a guy like Dickinson out, in the center, in the middle there.
For sure.
And then they have another transfer. What's the other transfer, Sam? I think you wrote him down, right?
Did I write it down? It's not Brandon Johns Jr., is it?
No, Brandon Johns Jr. is a returner. I should have had this ready. I don't know.
No, it's all right. Let's just move into a little bit about like where they started and where they're
Terrence
at now.
Williams.
Terrence Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
Preseason they were ranked 25th. They 4-0, but no good wins yet, and needing overtime to beat Oakland 81-71, I think caused them to drop out of the top 25, which is why they're still not there. They're going to be next week as long as they take care of business in their other games. But Livers has led the way early on, 16.3 points per game. And freshman Hunter Dickinson that Ryan was just talking about is averaging 14 points and 7.5 rebounds. Again, it's early, lesser competition, but that's exactly what you want to see. As I mentioned, they're already unranked, but so far I think they're taking care of business the way that they need to. I think one thing I thought about that Oakland game is it looked like there was a lot of learning going on, and they ended up winning by 10, which was good in overtime. But I mean, you had the blow up with Livers against Howard. Like they're finding their identity now. And I think that's really good to see because it took them a little bit longer last year to find what they were going to be, and that's when they started playing good ball. And Howard became a better coach, at least but from the eye test. If you can get rid of that now, I think that's really good. In the first 4 or 5 games, if you're learning a lot about your team, learning a lot about your leaders, that is only going to be good, and it'll change things quicker, I think, and you'll become more of a more mature team. Before it's too late, basically, is where I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and I want to make a correction. Chaundee Brown is the other transfer. He's another guard, and he has 2 games. One game scored 18 points, one game 19 points, the other one 9, and the other one 5. So might be one of those up and down kind of guys, but definitely high upside.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the players. Ryan, do you have a breakout player that kind of comes to mind for you heading into this season?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mike Smith. This is a guy who averaged over 22 points last year.
Yeah.
And the decision was made where he could play immediate eligibility for Michigan, which was huge for them.
Yeah.
They're losing Xavier Simpson, and you can already see that this is Mike Smith's team. Like he has the ball in his hands, or it's Isaiah Livers. So I think Mike Smith is your breakout player. Nice.
I actually went with Franz Wagner. I think he's poised to have a breakout season in 2020. I mean, he had the start of the season last year slow. It was slow because of the broken wrist and all that stuff. But once he found his groove, I think he showed the flashes that we hope to see. It was a little bit. I mean, flashes is the right word, I think, from what we've seen from him.
He has so much talent.
But the talent and the way that his brother developed from was it year 1 to year 2, I think. Like that hope right there is basically why I think he could really become a breakout player, because we saw it with his brother, and I think we saw early on more flashes from Franz than we saw from Mo in year 1, and that's where I'm like, okay, this dude could be a good player here soon. Hopefully not too good, because I think he could be even better in year 3. I don't want him to leave it too early, but you never know. But that's kind of where I'm at. I think he could become one of the better players in the conference very quickly, as long as he continues to mature. Kyle, do you have any for these, or just?
I would take Livers.
Livers.
I know he's already kind of a household name, but I think he really comes on strong this year.
Yeah. I think it'll be good for him.
So far, he already is.
Yeah, that he decided to come back. I think it's going to be good for his draft stock and just him in general.
He's the leader of the team.
Yeah.
And I think he excels this year even more.
Yep. All right, so don't forget about player. I actually went with Mike Smith. I mean, the way I looked at the don't forget about is transfers. I feel like you can forget about those guys very quickly because you get hung up on recruiting grades and top 100 and blah 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 and all that stuff. So that's kind of where I went. Ryan, you already kind of explained what he does. I mean, he averaged 22.8 points per game last year. Or was it last year? Or would it be the year?
Yeah,
before?
it would be last year.
Columbia. And
He had
4.5
eligibility.
assists. He adds another scorer for the Wolverines that I think is very important because I think that's one thing that they were really missing in those games that their defense didn't carry them. They just didn't have enough scoring to put teams away, and why they lost, 12 games last year was because their scoring was not there. I think he's going to bring that and the leadership that you kind of already mentioned, Ryan. But is there anybody that you wanted to bring up so people don't forget about?
Yeah, I mean, I think Eli Brooks, he was going into last year. Last year was his time to shine. That's where everybody was with this team. He was going to be the leading scorer. Everything was going to be on his shoulders. He was going to star and push to be a first-round draft pick. It didn't really work out that way. He had kind of struggled. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to face Michigan in the let's just say they're like the Sweet 16 or something, and you have one game against a really talented team, he's the guy that could go just absolutely nuts and hit 8 to 9 3-pointers in a game and win it for them single-handedly on the offensive side. So I think he's the guy that people will worry about game to game. Over the course of a season, not the best pick for something like this because he doesn't have the best shot selection at this point. The ball is out of his hands more than it's in his hands.
Yeah.
But game to game, at any time, he could have that breakout performance.
Nice. Kyle, did you have anybody that you want to bring up here?
I had Wagner here. I don't know. Last year he was good. Don't get me wrong, but he's kind of a nucleus. He's kind of a core to this team. He did have the injury. He did have the, and I think this year, kind of like what you said, he could really come along with going from that year 1 to year 2.
Yeah.
I think it could be a good year for him, so don't forget about him.
Yeah. All right.
Would never.
Right.
All right. Rebound player, Ryan. You want to start us off with that one?
Yeah, rebound player. You surprised me. I'm actually gonna pick Wagner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he should be the guy with the talent. I feel like he's not his brother. He doesn't have the same attitude that Mo had. And Mo was aggressive. He got the ball in his hand and he immediately wanted to do something with it. It could be passing, it could be shooting, driving, whatever it was. Franz has a lot to learn still. I think he's a little more timid in that way. He has all the tools to be a very, very good player and to be an NBA-type player. But he still has some makeup inside of him, I think, that still needs to develop. I think he will, in year 2, figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Well, freshman year, he just looked a little raw and a little bit like, I don't know, it was tough for him to get going in the season. And as a rebound player, that's what I want to see from him. I want him to know who he is on this team and take his role seriously because he could have a huge role in this team.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I actually went with Brandon Johns Jr., though. I think he shined last year, but I put him as the rebound player mainly because, he didn't seem to win. He didn't win the starting job. And I feel like it's more of a rebound from the start of the season to what he could become, what he could do as the season goes on. I don't know. I don't know a ton about him, to be honest with you. But I think he's going to be the sixth man that is going to get a lot of playing time and a lot of minutes. And it could feel like a rebound player type thing. I don't know.
He's pretty good for a decently athletic big guy. He can move his feet. Like he can shoot. He has a lot of basketball skill, so it could come together for him.
All right, so let's move through these last few here. Dark horse MVP. I went with Livers. I know it's not really a dark horse because he should be. But basically, if this team's going to be successful, it's going to be Livers. Do you guys have more?
Him.
Yeah, it's going to go through him. Do you guys have more of a dark horse type feel that I couldn't come up with, or no? Do you think it's going to be that guy? It could probably be even Wagner. Right?
Wagner.
I was actually going to say Wagner if he can turn into the killer mentality that his brother had. If he develops that in this season,
he needs that attitude.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to have that killer instinct, and if he does, this team will take off, and he will be the dark horse MVP. So, do I expect it to happen? I don't know. I think it might happen in like year 3 for this guy. I'm still the jury's still out on him in my mind, but I really hope it does, and he could be the MVP if he ever gets that kind of mentality.
Yeah. All right. So under the radar, I went with Hunter Dickinson basically because he's a freshman. He's 7'2", 255, and early on looks solid against lesser opponents. But the big body, he's going to be important in this team or on both sides of the court.
He is 7'2". I said 7'1" earlier.
Yeah, I saw 7'2", but I could be wrong. Maybe he shrunk.
Yeah,
he's
maybe
he's probably wearing.
He's probably doing his own
7'1.5".
Oh, is that what it
So
is?
he's right
7'1"
between.
without
So he's
shoes,
actually
7'2"
7'4"
with.
then, right? According to
My
scouting.
skill, yeah.
The way
how I do
scouting works,
things,
you
yeah.
always add
5'10", I
two
promise.
inches. Get your tape measure out and
Yeah.
prove me wrong.
I dare you.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going. He's really not under the radar, but it's so
I had the
hard
same
with
one, though.
basketball, though.
I had the same one just because you don't really know at this point. He's a freshman, but yeah, you don't hear a ton about him right now.
Well, it's all
I mean,
perspective. From Michigan fans, you know about him, but Big Ten in general, watch out.
Good
That's
point.
That's a good
Good
way to
point.
look at
I
it.
agree with
Yeah.
you guys.
Do you have some? Is that who you're going with then?
Yeah, that's what I'll go with.
All right, so overall expectations of the Michigan Wolverines basketball season. You currently have Ohio State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Illinois, MSU, and Iowa ranked in the top 25, and Michigan isn't. So based on that, finishing in the top 10 would be a successful regular season. I think, like, if you just look at it that way, you're moving
Top 10
up from
nationally.
No, sorry, I meant like in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Is kind of where I'm going.
Oh, they'll
here.
be top 10.
You're way under.
No, sorry, I said top. No, top 5 would
You
be a
said 10.
success.
Oh, there you
sorry.
go.
Based on everything else,
Start over. Wait, hold on. Start over.
I'm gonna
Explain
read
what.
it all over
No,
again.
no, don't read it. Just explain what you want to say.
Yeah.
Okay, if they
Good
can,
point,
if they
yeah.
can get into the top 5 of the Big Ten, I think that's a successful jump up in a pretty successful season.
Very.
Agreed.
I could see them going higher than that though.
They'll do
as
that.
well.
They'll
Yeah.
do that
You think
more.
they will get top 5? I hope you're right.
In the
man.
Big Ten, I do.
They're a good team. I think Howard has a way of making these guys win somehow too.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
I really do.
All right.
and you got some good talent.
If they can find themselves in the same conversation as Illinois and Wisconsin, that's a really successful season for this
Mhm.
team.
Yeah. So expectations kind of heading into the tournament. I put with like a 5 to 8 seed. It really depends on where they finish in the Big Ten, how the tournament goes. It's really hard to tell. But one thing that I wanted to point out about the schedule here is they're going to move up pretty quickly because
They are.
they don't
Yeah.
have they're not playing a top 25 team until Wisconsin on January 12th, and then they have a nice easy-ish schedule again until they play 5 straight top 25 teams
That's gonna be
Um,
tough.
starting
Ooh.
February 6th to February 21st. So that part of the schedule is going to be very tough, ending with Iowa and Michigan State. But you're going to move up quick, and if you steal a game or two out of these teams that are obviously ranked ahead of you now, who knows where things fall in line? But you have an opportunity to get high and not drop off as long as you take care of business.
Yeah.
So, I could see them finishing in the top 15 nationally. As long as they take care of business and
Finishing like that is tough. Like that if
sorry,
they have that schedule
heading
up
into
front.
the tournament as well.
Yeah,
so
no. If they have that difficult schedule up front, and then they finish their
you
season with
think
a
that's
bunch
a
of
better way
wins,
to go?
I mean
Yeah.
that usually leaves a
That-
good taste in your mouth. But
That'd be the better way to go.
unless
Agreed.
they pull it off.
Unless they pull it off. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing. Unless they pull a couple wins out of that
Yeah.
thing.
And that's where I feel like Juwan Howard is going to be
Which they
successful.
could. They could.
Is he? I don't see them going on a massive losing streak. You know what I mean? Like they have the talent and they have the coach that's gonna light a fire under these guys' butts before it really hits the fan, and you lose those 2-3 in a row that kind of set you back. You're gonna win a game that you're not expected to just because you have the talent and you have the guy fiery and
yeah,
leading the way. I think.
and I know,
with Juwan.
and I don't really know all the X's and O's with Juwan and exactly how he coaches yet. We're
Yeah.
1 year in on this
Yeah,
thing.
it's very hard, and not even a full year either.
Exactly, yeah, and we don't know if he has designed what he has designed so far based on the personnel or what he really believes in. So we'll find out more about that. But what I do know about him, based on what the comments that players have and his interviews so far, is he is a really, really good motivator for individual confidence. Like players really do believe that he makes them believe that they are a really good player.
Yeah.
and that they match up really well against whoever they're playing with.
Yeah.
And so he has them in a good headspace before these games. That's what I know. I don't know exactly if the plays are drawn up perfectly or if the offense runs better against certain teams. I'm not sure about that. We'll figure that out. But I know that person to person, that's the reason he's a good recruiter, is he also has these guys with high confidence going into their games every game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, and really the tournament expectations for me, like I didn't put a seed on it because you never know the way everything's going to fall in line, especially with a team like Michigan that you don't know how it's going to fall basically.
Yeah, and I don't know about that
but
Oakland team that they almost lost to
Good team.
earlier. They must be from California, right? Out there in like middle California.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where they are. ever.
Oakland, California.
Oakland,
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's ever gone to that school.
Right, I don't either. They're
At
very
least worth talking
underrated.
about.
All right, now I'm hurt. But,
Yeah, you
Now
started
you
it.
hurt
You
me.
started it.
Well, you took it to a
I
different
know.
level.
I'm sorry. But my tournament expectations and what I really want to see is the type of coach.
Terrible.
the-
Terrible athletics at that school.
Yeah, terrible athletics.
Not even just basketball.
You should see their
specifically
baseball
baseball.
They're terrible. Always have been.
But I want to see him win a couple games in the tournament because I want to see
Really
what
stop being
kind
a
of
team
coach.
player.
Especially,
Sorry, Sam.
especially catchers.
We don't have to talk about basketball.
Listen.
All conference, baby.
But anyways, I want to see a couple wins. I want to see the way Juwan Howard coaches these players, this team. What type of coach he is going to be in those type of one and done type scenarios. We didn't get any of that last year.
This is a Sweet
We didn't
16
get
team,
it.
minimum.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I think they could be, but I also could see them losing first round.
But
Like,
I just
and
called
it-
it.
I don't see them
You're
losing
right,
first
King
round.
Kyle.
Yeah.
No, you know what? You said that about Michigan State earlier about the tournament finish,
Mhm.
and I didn't really like that. But for Michigan, I think they really are a Sweet 16 team,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think that should be the expectation. Yeah.